Hello and welcome to your Advanced Java Programming course, and in this video we are going to be discussing private variables. When it comes to classes, we work with two types of variables, but these are not data types but actual types of variables. These two are private and local variables. Private variables are variables that cannot be changed in the main program. To create a private variable, you go to the beginning of your class, and instead of opening up a method, you type in the following to create a private integer. Private int num, close of a semicolon. What makes this variable private is the fact that it can be used throughout the class in different methods, not just public string, but let's say another method below and another method and so on, and cannot be changed except by the programmer. So the user, him or herself, cannot affect this variable. However, in these variables over here, the user does affect them. So this is the other type of variable. They are local to a specific object or method. So as you can see here, the name variable and the temp variable are only local to this public string process name method. However, if I wanted to use it anywhere else, it would show an error because this variable has not been created yet. In this way, it's sort of like an if statement. If the if statement does not run the else statement, whatever happened in the else does not exist. So, even if this method is run, its variables will only apply to this method. I cannot create another method using this temp variable without creating a new one entirely. Private variables are extremely important when it comes to programming. These type of variables that can only be affected by the programmer come in handy when the user does affect the data in a large way. So it's best to have the programmer have more control over his program than the user. What I'm going to do now is create another public method that does output data, but in this case it will output the integer num, the private variable I have created over here. Notice I did not have to create a num variable inside this method. I did not call for another variable from the user. I'm just printing the private variable that has already been created in the class, the variable that can be used in every method. Up to here. And I'm going to type in the following name dot num print, close of a semicolon, and now when I run the program, it should print null. And it does indeed. Now I'm going to give num a value. So I'm going to give num a random value of, let's say, 5. Now, as you would assume, when it returns num, it should print the number 5. However, it does not. When I run the program again, it still prints null. This is because this is a privatized variable. It will not be displayed by the user in any way. So when I run the program, whatever code I have displayed in the main program, it will not show what a private variable's value is, because it is private to this specific class. This is a very useful type of variable when working with the user, because it avoids what is known as GIGO, G-R-G-O, which means garbage in, garbage out. So this way you can avoid the process where the user inputs a line of data that cannot be processed. This way variables like this can have a default to avoid such an error. Private variables may not be printed in the main program, but you can still use them to affect the result of data and other methods. So be sure to use private variables as often as you can, as this can help in the future to avoid any errors that may occur when using values inputted by the user. In the next video, we'll be creating scanner methods.